Austin, your profession, one title that you could use for it is DJ, correct?
Yes.
You DJ events.
Correct.
And you guys don't know this, but we know another DJ is very close to us. He's actually the OGGG, the original golden guest grape that I forgot the fourth G that I decided that stood for. It's 7. But he also goes by the name DJ7, which is very clever that I came up with as well, that you guys didn't know about too. It took me 4 hours to come up with that name.
DJ7?
DJ7, yeah.
I mean, you did good.
Thank you.
You did good.
Thank you. I crossed off a long list of no other options. Like that was the first one I came up with.
I'd have called him something like DJ Strong Hands.
Oh, that's good. I like that too. He does have very strong hands. He's got the strongest hands that I've ever seen of a man. But he has a new segment for us.
Ooh.
That I've also dubbed DJ7's Sanity Shredders.
Oh, no.
7 likes to do this thing to where sometimes he'll send me a link to a YouTube video. Most of the time, it's a song.
He sends me dad jokes, like bad ones.
That's
usually.
good, too. Really, anytime I get a text from 7, I have this feeling of, oh, boy, I'm excited to read this.
Yeah, you know it's going to be a good day.
It's going to be such a good day.
Well, he does the same thing that I do with earworms, except to the extreme.
Oh, yeah.
With something you've never heard before that's guaranteed to stick into your brain like tar.
And you know what some would call that, including myself and only myself?
What?
Sanity Shredders. So this is DJ 7's Sanity Shredder he sent me.
So it's the opposite of an eargasm?
Quite the opposite.
Okay.
The exact
I wanted to put
opposite.
myself in the right frame of mind.
Yes, we are on the other side of that spectrum. Here is the first DJ 7 Sanity Shredder called Wang, Rong, Rollin by Chick Chick.
I don't hate it so far.
7.
We the best!
Okay, it's getting worse.
What in the name of Gen Alpha is happening on our freaking ear holes right now?
Stick with me.
Okay. With the hood at. With the hood at. With the hood at.
Don't ruin it! How we doing?
I don't know how I feel about this.
How we doing?
Especially I was okay until the beat dropped.
Oh, it drops again.
I feel like they stole Coco from Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends.
Oh, God.
Coco!
Can we just go back to songs about trucks and dogs and
I don't think so.
alcohol and dirt roads and
Coco!
I don't know what kind of licensing they have on this. Out of nowhere!
The longer it goes, the more it hurts.
I'm gonna just live edit this and do a slow fade out with the volume slider, so I don't have to do it later. That is the first of many of DJ 7's Sanity Shredders. Should I just call him DJ Sanity Shredder?
Yeah.
I don't know if it was just because I said it, but DJ Strong Hands,
Yeah,
just
You just feeling it?
hits.
You
It just
still
hits
feeling it?
right. Yeah.
DJ Strong Hands Sanity Shredders. That's a good alliteration.
Why did you bloop, phone? You shouldn't have
know
blooped. I
either.
turned your volume all the way off. Why are you blooping at me?
Oh no. 7, thank you for that.
No.
So now I get to hear in my head for the rest of the day. We the best!
Music!
Hey everybody, I'm Dane Holland.
I'm Austin Shazam Pfeiffer.
And I'm Austin. Oh yeah.
No,
Sorry.
it's fine.
No.
It's fine. No, it's
No,
okay.
we
it's
gotta,
fine.
I'm a bad person.
No,
We'll
it's okay.
do the moment of
Moment of
silence.
silence.
I'm Austin Tiny Zent.
And we are Nerded Through the Grapevine, the podcast where four best friends gather weekly to talk about our favorite parts of past, present, and future nerd culture. 3 today, normally 4. For Otto, had a very busy weekend.
Yes.
He did.
And yeah,
He
like
did.
all of us had a lot of stuff going on this weekend, but he, I believe, had the most. So he will not be here today. But it's the end of 2023. 2024 is among us. And I think whenever this comes out, it will be
My
technically
birthday.
your birthday. It will be your birthday.
Hey.
So everybody
What, Wednesday?
listening to the episode, wish me a happy birthday.
Do it now or else. We know where all of you live.
Yeah, or
Every
else
single person that listens to this, your address shows up.
Exactly.
Your IP address, your home address, your credit card number, all of it. I have all of your information.
Your social security number.
We are all one at this point. But I would like to title this episode The Grape Flavored Goodies of 2023. And the Grape Flavored Goodies are little trophies that I have made with my imagination. Can you see them?
Yep.
Yeah.
Imaginative.
It's really cool looking.
And they're whatever you want them to look like. And
Did you 3D print that?
I did. I 40
Awesome.
I 40 printed it. Yeah, they smell too.
Hell yeah.
It's amazing. Smell is the fourth dimension,
Yeah.
right?
Is it?
That one smells like chocolate.
That's not chocolate, baby.
Oh.
That's just brown.
I'm just bad at smelling, I
That's
guess.
just what brown smell like. So
Speaking of brown.
speaking of brown, oh no,
Oh, that's later.
that's later, but that's for the that's for the patrons.
You got to pay for that one.
Yeah, you really have to pay for that one.
I'm going to.
Yeah, you are. So, yeah, I think after the event and after our patrons get to witness the event, I think then we can let everyone else know about it. So that way, the next time we're secretive about what's happening for the patrons, more people are going to be like, oh, wait a minute, this happened last time. So maybe I should
Didn't
join
we have it in the app? Or did we just put it in the Patreon?
I think that was
portion
just
of the
for
app?
the After Dark. I think that was just for the patrons.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I don't think we've said out loud.
So pretty much what's happening is a gift to the patrons for being on
And
Patreon.
no one else.
No one else.
We told them that we had to meet a goal of a certain amount of members before I did a special treat for them. Now I'm doing a special treat for them. We will refer to it as the smoothening of 2023.
Yeah. There will be some spreading of an Austin Pfeiffer part.
Don't give
Wax
too
shall
much
be
away.
applied. No, I'm just straight telling them.
No spoilers.
They can still pay to get on the Patreon to see it. So,
Oh, that's true.
you know,
That
we're
is
waxing
true.
Austin's asshole this afternoon.
That's a good point. So if
You won't see hole. That'll all
No.
be behind a safety
Yes.
shield.
yes, Tiny has
But you will
prepared.
know what's happening.
Yeah, we're gonna have face cam and we're gonna have just an outside shot looking in. I'll be the cameraman because I haven't agreed to any of this. It's just been you two. So
No. He went rogue. He made the promise.
True.
He said I was going to do it, and I'm crazy enough
Oh,
to do
he
it.
said you were gonna do
Yeah,
it. I thought
there
you
was
emphatically wanted to do it.
I mean, I like causing him pain,
True.
so
And I'll just be there to witness. But without the witness, no one else can witness it. So, if you want to see this event, join the Patreon. It's like $5. If you want, you can join the Patreon for $5, view the event, and then you can just kind of step back if you want to, because I understand times is hard, and we're all poors. We get it.
yeah. But it should be entertaining enough that $5 as a one-time thing would be well spent.
Should be well spent. I would say so. But that's for later. For now, let's go over the 2023 and what we found in it. And I don't know. Do you guys want me to start? Like, because I made like a list and stuff.
I mean,
or do
you're
you guys
already
want
talking.
to-
You might as well.
I am talking. Okay, I'm not going to stop talking because I want to first get into games that came out in 2023. I am not one that usually keeps up with the most recent games simply because I've been burned too many times on spending $60 on a brand new game and it not being completed yet. Cyberpunk, No Man's Sky, like there are plenty.
The
in
list
that
goes on.
The list goes on, and they start with 2.
And then sometimes you play video games that are just never complete, like Overwatch, and then you quit.
Oh, yeah, Overwatch 2. That's the raisin. That's a raisin of this year was Overwatch 2. It's just hot stinkle. But No, that's hot stinking fecal garbage. That's not just hot stinkle. That's the whole thing.
Oh yeah, I mean, when you have like 60+ hours of grind time and you're still in bronze, like, I mean, I know I didn't get good, but I think the odds were stacked against me.
Yeah, no, we had talked before about maybe doing the things that we didn't like from 2023, but no, we're keeping this one positive. So we're leaving Overwatch 2 in the garbage bin.
Yeah, we could get way too deep into negatives.
I think we complained live, I think, about the negatives as they happened. So things went on. Think back to Wizards, all the Magic and D&D stuff.
Yeah, we don't want this to turn into another Standboy Expo recap.
No.
So
2023 had some bright spots.
You know, just recanting the 2023 Standboy Expo, though, from our complaints that we had about the Expo, if you look at the Expo's page, they made an announcement about all the things that they're going to fix. And I mean, they might as well have just added us, just at Nerd Grapevine.
Well, like, that episode, too, had a lot more listens than any surrounding them, like, unless you go back to, the beginning to where people listen to the first couple and they're like, all right, it's not my jam. We had a lot. Oh, Grape Jam is funny. We had a lot of people listen to the episode, so it's very likely that someone from that could have listened to our qualms and decided to address every single one of them.
I would just like to think that all the fixes happened solely because of us.
Yes. Me too.
It makes me feel good.
I mean, how many other podcasts do you know that covered that?
I don't know.
0?
Yeah, exactly.
That I know. I mean, there could be 12.
Exactly.
But with games that came out this year in 2023 that I actually played, at least some of, my honorable mentions are going to be Starfield and Baldur's Gate 3. Now, I know Baldur's Gate 3 is like Game of the Year for a bunch of different outlets for gaming, because it is a masterpiece in storytelling and just RPG gameplay. Not everybody's jam, as Tiny has mentioned in our podcast before. But in the whole of gaming, most outlets have named it their Game of the Year. But I decided to hold off on playing a ton of it because it does have multiplayer to where you can play with other people, play campaigns with your friends. But it's the cross play for that hasn't happened yet. And most of my gaming buddies have consoles. So my friend Brian, who is also a listener of the show, him and his wife Heather, hey guys, once Brian gets Baldur's Gate 3 for the PS5 and crossplay is enabled, then I'm going to actually play it in depth and have a campaign actually with somebody. So I can't name it my game of the year because I didn't play enough of it to do that. And this list for all of us that are going to be naming things that were our favorites of 2023, it is not like us going, yes, we are in agreement that this thing is the best. It's personally,
it's your best,
my best, my favorite.
Oh
thing,
yeah, because I know
I like more. I like that more than that because it's impossible for all of us to enjoy the same things and try out the same things all year.
Yeah, because there's 3 to 4 of us.
Yes.
And we all have differing opinions on different things.
Oh, yeah. And
so, yeah,
and we
we're
can't
not
all
have a
go
consensus.
Drop $60 on a game just to try it out and see, it's all of our favorite too. So all of our things are going to be very different from one another. Starfield, the other honorable mention, I still enjoy it.
Now, can I ask a question about that one? Because I'm so curious about it.
Yeah.
I want to pick it up, but it's still $60 American.
Right. If you don't have Game Pass, it's on Game Pass for free.
I don't have a console. You
can do that on PC.
I want to own it if I'm going to have it.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's my thing.
No, yeah, go.
Anyway, I love Skyrim.
Okay.
And it was supposed to be like Skyrim in space.
Right.
Was that how you would describe it, like Skyrim in space?
Pretty close. From what I've watched him play, pretty close.
In the most basic sense, I could say yes, just because it's obviously a Bethesda game, and Bethesda with their Fallout, Skyrim, and now with Starfield, they've got a kind of the same formula going on, like as far as like the conversations and being able to choose, how you respond, and then the game kind of reacting to that. It's the life that Skyrim has in it, even vanilla Skyrim. Like it still has this charm, just like with Fallout. Like there's this charm and there's this liveliness to it that you kind of get sucked into that world. Starfield, there's like this, I don't know. There's a dissonance between it because it's just not, the life isn't there. There's been very few points of me playing it, and I've put quite a few hours into it, that I actually get sucked into the world of the game because everything just feels blank. I don't know, like when if you were to read a book and it's just giving you the text and just telling you what's happening, as opposed to any flavor whatsoever, any like real emotion to where you can feel the writer loved this character and was speaking from that character's point of view, as opposed to a writer just writing down what you think you should feel about the character.
Right.
That's kind of what most of the characters that I've come across in this game are, and the situations as well. It's like they had too little time with too few people and told them just to like make their own thing, and then we'll piece it all together, and then that's the video game, as opposed to a cohesive idea of what the feeling of the game should be, like what emotion you could get from it. Because in Skyrim, you feel like a person who's obtaining these dragonborn powers and going and defeating these liches and things. And I don't know. It's in Starfield. What I do like about it is that it doesn't have a very cohesive story yet, but I kind of like that about it, because I can just kind of French off into space and go to a random planet and jump around and find some neat procedurally generated creatures and stuff.
Now, as far as I've seen from while you're playing Starfield, it's kind of the Bethesda given that you're going to have random foods just kind of in places where random foods aren't supposed to be. Like, in Skyrim, whenever you go and you fight one of the dragon, dead zombie wizards from thousands of years ago, and there's a wheel of cheese that's perfectly fine.
It's still hanging out.
That's just hanging out there.
Yeah.
They'll do the same thing in your space one with your Starfield.
Starfield, yeah.
Just with your, he'll be going to these, like this random mining cave that's down, going down, looks like the depths of hell. Like you're going down into the depths of hell, and then you get down there and there's an apple.
Yeah. Well, and it could be behind like a master lock, a pick that you've got to like master lock and get into, and it's just garbage in it. And that's something a lot of people have had issues with, is like there wasn't any thought put into, okay, in this lockbox, it takes a lot to get into it. And sure, sometimes that can be an intentional like joke, it'd be a funny thing. If you open it up and all of a sudden there's a loaf of bread and a wheel of cheese, and it's like, oh, it's funny, there's like a cheese sandwich in here. But with Starfield, it's like there was no real thought put into that.
Well, maybe that's just adding to realism, because I've seen storage wars. People store just trash in storage units.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
maybe that's what it is. They're just like, let's be realistic and put just garbo in
I
there.
make a Storage Wars joke every week whenever I'm playing bingo. Just because if people have sometimes bingo games have to have two bingos to win. You call out your first bingo number one. And then I've got to acknowledge that you've said it, otherwise it could just slip by. I said I'll make sure everybody gets gets at least a Storage Wars. Yep.
Okay.
And then sometimes people laugh, sometimes people won't do anything. Most of the time they don't do anything.
They're like, what are you talking about?
What the hell is a storage war?
Yeah, what kind of deep cut is this?
What's a storage war?
That is something that some people that are just, it's like with Star Wars, whenever sometimes we like try to make sense of something that doesn't make any sense, and it was like a lazy thing they did, and it's like, well, you could look at it this way, which I like doing that, because sometimes I do that, right?
Yeah.
And if it adds to your enjoyment, by all means, please do it.
Now, they did do an upgrade to Starfield that made the finding foods better. You don't have to store the foods and then consume the foods. You can just consume them right when you find them and not have to worry about carrying them around and then eating them later.
But this is where the game didn't make my favorite game of the year, is that it's an obvious kind of blank slate for modders to do stuff to it, and for them to later come out with patches. Because like with the quality of life improvements, which is what they call a lot of patches and updates for games, they don't really know what people are gonna be upset about that they can fix easily. And that's one of the things that they were like, oh, well, we can just let you just eat it whenever you look at the thing. But even whenever you do consume food in the game, it makes your health go up such a minimal amount that it's almost pointless. Like there's no reason to do it at all.
Yeah.
But the game will be improved a lot by modders. But for me, if you make a game that people are like, okay, well, I'm just going to wait until people that play this game and mod it for free make it better for me to enjoy it, that for me can't really make it a great game right off the bat. So that's the reason why I can't make it my favorite game yet. It's a great game for whenever I want to just, like I said, French off into space and kind of float around and do random stuff. But as far as like, I want to get into this world of an RPG, it's kind of hard to do that with it. My favorite game actually came out not long ago, and it's a very, again, personal choice. It's called The Finals, and it is a first-person shooter game, and you have teams of 3 people, and it's either a 3v3v3 or that plus another team of 3, and then there's a couple different game modes. But the world in it is destructible, so like every building can be crumbled down to the ground within the levels, and there are like these explosive tanks that you can throw across the level and explode a building, and your objectives can fall. You can actually do a strategy of where an objective is at the top of a building, and there's a team up there trying to capture it. You can blow up the bottom portion of the building and have that fall down to your team to where you have a situation set up to where you can guard it and cap the point. But most of the games I play are games that you can hop in, play for a couple, an hour, and then hop off. And it's a game to where you can hop in, play a few games, and leave, just like with Rocket League. Love Rocket League, play it all the time. But this finals game has replaced Overwatch for me, which was a big deal for how big of a bummer it was for me to quit Overwatch. Austin, you know how big of a deal that was because I got you into the game too.
Yeah.
And then you ended up realizing, oh, this sucks. So
it was broken. The whole thing was broken.
Yeah, it was bad. So with the finals, it right off the bat is a lot of fun, and there's like some abilities that your characters can do, Overwatch-ish. But it looks incredible. Like the graphics on it are amazing. The engine they're using is wonderful, especially on my PC setup. It's free and there's crossplay. So it's got all these little pieces about it that when you put them together equal a game that I'm going to love because I can play with my friends that are on console that I haven't been able to play Baldur's Gate with yet. And we can also just hop in, play for an hour, and then if somebody's got to go to work or, you can bounce. But it's one that they can easily do updates to it, patches like on the fly. And it's not this giant thing that's taken just so many years and so much hype and that people are paying so much money to play and it not even being a finished product. It's actually a good product and it's free. And yeah, there's a battle pass thing, but it's all cosmetic. Like, so they've made it to where nothing is locked behind walls that everyone can enjoy the game the same. But you can get a battle pass if you want to and unlock some cool looking stuff like skins and things. Which
kind of like what Fortnite does.
Yes, yeah, kind of like what Fortnite does. Their battle pass can be improved with the finals. It takes a long time to complete it. You kind of need to get a level a day in order to finish it out. But I actually did get the battle pass for it. I wasn't going to, but with it being a new game, and I know that money up front in a free game like this, the devs can actually put that to use quickly because the bigger it gets, the earlier it gets, the more money they can have, and then the more updates and patches and things they can do because they're actually listening to the community and things like that. So it's been great. So that's the finals. If you want to check it out, it's on pretty much everything. They can run it, and you can do crossplay with it too. So hop on and tell me if you get it because I want to play with you.
Well, I'll talk about my game.
Please.
My favorite game that I played in the year 2023 was Lies of P. Lies of P is kind of a Souls-like game. It's going to have that same level of difficulty as you'd expect from like a Bloodborne. It's got I think its art style actually is a little bit more Bloodborne than it is other kind of Souls, just because of the era that it's based in. It's a little bit more, Bloodborne-y than it is Dark Souls-y. It's not as much medieval as it is like industrial era.
It looks kind of diesel punky.
It is.
It looks really cool.
Yeah.
It is so cool. The idea is you are Pinocchio, and you are trying to find your creator Geppetto in the first little bit, and you do find him, and he goes to the central hub to where everything is after you find him, and the central hub to this place is just like a hotel in the middle of this city that's been taken over by demon puppets, basically. There's this energy that's gone around that actually P, as he's called, just to not have to say Pinocchio all the damn time. P is able to harness this energy and use this energy, but other puppets that aren't as sentient as him are controlled by it and driven crazy by it. Also, it seems that people, and I haven't gotten this far in the game because I had to stop because I got to a point to where I couldn't beat the boss. And there are certain bosses in these kind of Souls-like games that if you don't beat the boss, you don't progress forward in the story. A lot of them are like that, and this is one of them, and he is a king puppeteer is what he is. He has a giant form that's a giant robot, and I can whip the absolute shit out of that giant robot, no problem, don't even lose any health. Then he gets into his next form, which completely ditches switches his over-the-top power attacks for over-the-top power attacks that are accompanied by blinding speed.
Yay!
Just what I wanted.
So blinding speed accompanied with my ability, like 6-7 hours into the game, of still not being able to parry correctly. And that's the way you beat him, is you have to parry correctly. You have to wait till he's about to smash you with his hurtful, and you have to parry it and then hurt him. I'm not good at that. I'm a smashy boy. I just smash. I smash. But the game is really cool. You get to upgrade a bunch of different stuff. I mean, he is a puppet, so he does have interchangeable parts on him. You can change his hoo-ha into a doodad. I'm sorry.
I don't think that's what you're talking about.
I don't think so. He does have a pee organ. That is a actual part of the game, yes?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I was confused. No, his arm is what I meant.
Yes.
And you can use the...
No, hoo-ha is colloquially slang for genitalia.
Oh, my bad.
Of the female persuasion.
See, I was thinking a hoo-ha is an electric arm. So you can change out his electric arm.
That's a woohoo.
Oh, a woohoo. I'm sorry. You can change out his woohoo, but his arms are pretty cool. And I've experimented with a few of the different ones. Now, the one that helps me out with not being able to parry too well is actually the Aegis arm. And the Aegis arm is wherever he develops a shield that comes out of his arm instead of an offensive technique. So he can actually shield and parry and do that stuff with his arm as opposed to having to do it with your weapon.
So even though you can't customize, like, who P is, you can customize their gadgets.
Yeah, and his outfits. I mean, you.
Oh, that's fun. I love dress up in games. That's one of my favorite things.
You can because his outfits barely have anything different to him whenever it comes to his actual defense and attack and all that other stuff. It's not as far as like a Skyrim game to where you have to upgrade your outfits to be able to have better stats.
Yeah,
his outfits in this basically just make him look different. Same thing with his masks. You can wear masks.
Oh, cool.
And I've got a mask that is a white dove mask that just looks epic. And I mean, it's just a character in the game, but you get different character masks throughout the game based on who you defeat. And it's going to be referencing characters from the Pinocchio, lore. Like you've got the donkey that the little kid turns into on Pleasure Island. That donkey is actually a freedom resistance fighter in this game, and you have to defeat him because he's gone crazy. And once you defeat him, then he kind of realizes what's gone on, and you collect his mask and his weaponry and all this other stuff. I mean, you've got characters throughout the game that are just references to characters that you've had in the Pinocchio lore, which is really cool seeing them done in different ways. The blue fairy's name's I think Sophia. She's your main contact in the game. The main point to where you level up, kind of like in Elden Ring. Whenever you got to talk to the lady at the campfire.
Yeah.
Same thing with the blue fairy. You got to talk to the blue fairy at the checkpoints, and then she'll allow you to upgrade stuff, allow you to switch up what your arm is. I mean, I've got 4 different arms right now. I've got a shield arm. I've got an electric arm that'll allow me to shoot electric blasts. I've got a flamethrower arm, self-explanatory, and I've got a grappling hook arm that allows me to hook onto people and bring them closer to me so I can get a critical strike once I clothesline them with my blade.
Cool.
So, I mean, it's fun. It is challenging. There's a lot of intricate movements within the game to get to where you go, which kind of adds a puzzle aspect to it. Because if you're not walking the exact path you're supposed to on these certain levels, then you're going to fall and you're going to take an extreme amount of damage. And that's what pisses me off the most about it, is because it doesn't get easier as you go along like that. It just gets harder. Like I'm walking through a level to where I've got to go up 5 different stories and I have to climb through rafters the entire time. Not raptors, not like dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs,
but rafters, as in like ceilings. You got to walk through these balance beams of like 4x4s, and if you take one step off of the 4x4, you're going to fall, 2 or 3 stories down and take fall damage, and all of a sudden you're also in a pit of acid that if you don't get out of the pit of acid fast enough, then it'll degrade your health all the way down.
Oh, so it don't turn you into a Joker?
It doesn't turn you
Darn.
It doesn't turn you into a Joker, but it does make you laugh hysterically like the Joker in a maniacal, crazed way, because this is the 5th time you fall into your death. Because the fall damage won't kill you, but the falling into the acid pool and having the shock damage of you falling and having to get up, because it does have a slowed response. If you take fall damage, you have a slowed response to get up, and the acid has a corrosion damage that builds up over time, so the longer you stand in it, the worse it is. So I've fallen. I have to get up. All of this is taking extra time. I'm dead.
You should have had Life Alert.
Help!
This episode brought to you by Life Alert.
Help! I've fallen. I can't get up.
So, but it's one of those games that you got to be a masochist because there's no difficulty level setting, right? It's just hard.
Well, you could set it harder.
Right. Yeah. The base level is hard.
So it's get good, get gooder, get gooder wrist.
I think they've got standard whooping and flagellation mode.
Okay, cool.
Standard whooping and flagellation.
That sounds
mode.
like a normal Tuesday night for me.
Yeah, it's one that I want to be in the mood to play it. It took me a while to get in the mood to play Elden Ring. But one of these days I will play Lies of P because it is also on Game Pass.
Yeah, and you can play it in a completely different style than I play it because whenever I'm playing games, I mean, I'm not a finesse boy whenever it comes to customizing characters. I'm a smash and grab. I mean, you have the ability to customize your own weapons in the game too. You can go through there and you can grab, lightweight weapons to make you faster, and you can do multiple hits and then dodge away. Whereas I've got something called a Buster Blade that is, 6 feet long and it has a rocket on the back of it, so whenever I'm swinging it, it requires an assistance from a rocket to give it its full momentum.
So you, like me, you like a big freak-off sword because you like to face tank.
Yes, face tank.
I'm usually a speed guy.
See, the thing that I think really looks cool about that is the level of customization for the weapons, in addition to, the whole vibe of the game.
Oh, and you can take every weapon in the game and mix them together.
Exactly. You're like I can take a piece of this, piece of this, piece of this. Let's just see what happens.
So I decided to try to do a little bit of a stronger build that's also quicker, and I took my Buster handle off my Buster Blade and I made it into a single-handed chopper. And that's actually gotten me a little bit quicker and farther than what my Buster Blade itself would, just because you have to time out your movements and everything. And if it takes like 0.5 seconds off of your movement, that means a lot whenever you're facing up against somebody that's super speed attack is going to hurt you. And almost beat him the last time I played it, and I never played it again because I got him down to I had one hit left, and he uppercutted me and took my life away.
That's when you screamed.
Yes,
and then you said never again, and you put the controller
that's
down.
What happened.
I was in the office when this happened. I remember the moment that he said, "Okay, no more."
Yeah, because it was like I was going to deal the final blow. My sword was coming down, and as my sword was coming down to hit him, he uppercutted me with a move I've not seen him do. And it killed me. And I said, never again.
How very anime.
Yeah, I know, right?
You deserve that.
And you thought that was my final move. Wait till I barely uppercut you with my weapon and kill you. Tiny, have you played any video games?
I've been playing 3 fairly hardcore this year.
At the same time?
Not at the same time.
Aww.
I think only one of them actually came out this year.
Uh-huh.
But I'm going to talk about all 3 of them because mine is more recaps of what I've been doing, because as I sat down to do the homework for this episode, I was like, I'm not a current boy, like on anything.
Yeah.
Maybe books, because I've read some current books, but who reads anymore? I think it's just me and like 3 other people, one of which is Marcus.
Yeah.
Who I never see anymore.
Feel better, buddy.
I miss you, Marcus. I love you.
Sick.
I know you sick.
He's sicky.
I sick you. I miss your proclivities. I was gonna say something else, and I was like, "That'll be more editing.
This will work.
There's enough editing." So the first one that I've been getting into is Lethal Company. It's a real fun game that you play with your buds, your junkers in space. You have a quota with X amount of days to fill it, usually 4. And there's different planets you go to. Each time you go to the planet, it's the same map on, that particular planet. It's not the same one on a different planet. I probably explained that poorly. Wow, I hope the mic picked that up. That was a good one.
So you're saying if you've got like Earth, Mars, and the moon, yes, the moon isn't a planet, but still, like every time you go to the moon, it's the same map on the moon.
Yes.
Every time you go to Earth, it's the same map that Earth has.
Yes.
It's okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Is the moon bigger than Earth?
Twice as big. Duh. I can see the moon. I can't see Earth.
The objects on the map are in different places, and the objects are random.
Cool.
So you and your buddies, you want to play this with buddies? Don't go in solo. You'll hate yourself. I think you can play with randos online, but don't quote me on that because I've only played with friends. But anyway, you get there, you get items, you take it back to your ship, and then when your days are over, you go back to this other planet, you put them on the counter, and you sell them, and you're Gucci, and you move on. Your quota goes up every time. There's different items you can get along the way. There's a gun I don't know how it works. I've never made it that far. We get shovels for the bonking. I've yet to bonk anybody, but I have one, or I did, because if you don't meet your quota, you at the end of the X amount of days, they say, go back to home base, and it makes you return to home base whether or not you're in the ship. And since you don't have quota, the company that you're working for opens the airlock on the ship, and you and everything else gets sucked out, and you have to start all over again. And it's not in a way that's irritating. You just kind of laugh and go, well, shit, there went 15 hours of my life.
Yep.
But the quota isn't even the only challenge, because there are creepy, scary monsters.
There's
right?
a lot of them. There's so many.
Yeah.
There's this one that'll take all the objects and hide them in this little room. They're like a little goblin thing, and you got to kill it, and you get all the stuff, because conveniently it's gathered all the loot, but you got to find them. There's other ones that there's a gelatinous cube. You just avoid him because he's slow. Like, he's just whatever. Not really that big of a deal. There's one, it's kind of funny, but also kind of creepy. You'll just see eyes, like, off in the distance, and you look, and you're like, what was that? Because you see, like, the eye shine. Now, the thing is, you have to look at it, but don't look at it too long. And don't not look at it. So one person in your crew has to be on lookout for it, and they have to look at it, but not look at it too long. Because if you either don't look at it or look at it too long, the same thing happens to you. You die.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you have to start all over. Well, you don't start all over if you die. If they recover your body, you're Gucci. But they're also penalized because they lost an employee. Anyway, that's just one of the monsters. There's one, I don't remember if it was a mod we put in place, but it's a Jack-in-the-Box that's huge and he bounces around.
Nope.
The most horrifying one.
Nope.
Yeah, in the dark. It's the most horrifying one looks like a blending of a trimmer and a dog, but it's the size of a house.
Oh, you mean like a graboid? From Trimmers, the
it's
little
like
worm?
one of those.
The worms?
It has legs.
Okay, so that would be the type 2 of the graboids, which they don't have. I think they call them walkers.
Why do you know
Maybe.
all this about trimmers?
When he's saying it, it's clicking in my head, but I couldn't pull that from nowhere.
They had 3 evolutions of the graboids. They have the graboids, they have the walkers, and then they have the ass blasters.
Yeah, it was more akin to a walker.
Okay,
I'm having deja vu. I'm pretty sure we've gone over this fascination.
When he's naming these things, I'm like, the images are popping in.
Well, because the one that named the ass blaster was Bert, and Bert's not got intelligence. I mean, he's got know-how, but he's not exactly got intelligence.
I couldn't agree with that, because that I don't remember.
You mentioned the possible mod. I talked to Tiny about this earlier. A mod that I saw online, because this is a game that tons of people are streaming together too.
Oh, dude, it's so
because it is
fun.
very entertaining to watch.
Yeah, don't look for high quality graphics. It ain't got it, bud.
No, but it adds to that charm of the game.
Oh, it
too.
does. It does.
And the fear, because for whatever reason, because the bad graphics, like the things that are scary are scarier for whatever reason.
Oh yeah.
But one of the, I think it was a mod, is a monster that will mimic a voice of a person in your party that's been speaking on the mic.
No,
So it was speaking from the darkness and saying things, and then the guy playing was like, "What did you just say?" And the other guy's like, "I'm not saying anything." And he's very confused. He just heard him talk.
Yeah, I'm
And
gonna
then
have to find this mod.
It strands together some other random, because sometimes it doesn't make complete sense in what it's saying, and it was getting louder and talking more frequently as it comes out of the darkness, and it's this creepy looking monster thing that you think is your friend. So, and I think isn't it proximity chat?
It is.
Okay, so the closer the person is to you in game, the more you can hear them, and they get so far away and you can't hear them speak anymore. So the closer this thing got to him, the louder it was getting, and it was their friend's voice coming from another creature, which is just, I mean, that's AI now being, programmed into games to be able to help make your, make your experience a whole lot more terrifying.
well, I think that's pretty awesome, because I mean,
Austin, stop.
I'm gassy. I'm also
You
nervous.
keep farting.
I'm nervous.
Or just get them all out. Yeah, don't stop. Get them all out now.
I'll save them up for
yeah,
you.
the smoothening. I forgot.
What you're describing from that actually reminds me of a television show that I watched earlier in the year, but I'm not going to talk about that just yet. I'm going to make a note of that, and then I'm going to talk about that later. You have more video games you want to discuss?
I did.
Yeah.
You did a good. I'm proud of you.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm proud of you.
If he would have kept going, it would have caused you Discord.
It would have caused me Discord. There's a link in the description. Go down in the crotch box, click the thing, get over there. We're on there live, uncut, uncensored, and irrevocably circumcised. So the other games that I've been getting into, I've been getting into a lot of Forza Horizon 5.
Mm-hmm. Is that a car?
It is a car.
It's a car.
It is a car game. You can. Some of the cars are really cool. Like I just got like a '86 Ford F-150. That's cool to me. Not to a lot of other people. And I've made it a drift truck because why not? And I've got a van of every flavor and every flavor of that flavor of van.
Excellent.
So
Does your sister look like a version of you except a lot shorter? Did you kiss her on the mouth and get a little bit moist? That's what it's like to drive a Ford F-150.
I thought it was chew pipe gum. But anyway, you can make a drift car, a rally car, a off-road car, or like a street racing car. So I've got 4 vans, like say 4 GMC Vandoras, and each one of those is one of those. So you can make any car into anything. Some cars do better at certain things. I get joy taking vehicles and making them do things they shouldn't. Like I enjoy taking my drift van to off-road races. Should I do that? No. Do I do good? Sometimes.
Sure.
Shockingly.
Shockingly. It does shockingly well off-road. It also says drifting for Jesus on the side, and that just makes me giggle.
That's so good.
WWJD, what would Jesus drift?
Exactly. One of them has the OnlyFans logo, but says Only Vans.
Oh, beautiful.
I've got the Michael Scott Paper Company van. You know, there's just so many things you can do. You can even do custom skins on them. It's super cool, and I've got way too many cars.
And this is the opposite when it comes to graphics, because this thing is
Very good
state-of-the-art
graphics.
new stuff.
Yeah, it's not as
looks
good
amazing.
as their other Forza title that I can't remember.
Most Forzas.
No, there's Forza Horizon, which is more like arcadey racy things. Motorworks, that's the other one. That's got the even better graphics.
Really? I haven't seen that one.
I don't mess with that one, but I've seen it. But it's these little fun races. You do the things, and you can, win new cars and do wheel spins for cars. It's just cars. They want you to have cars and to do things with cars. So it's a lot of them. It is very difficult to learn how to drive in this game because it drives like no other driving game you've ever played in your life. It can be the most infuriating thing until it just clicks. Then you're like, I get it, but I still kind of suck, but it's fun to play with buddies.
Like Rocket League.
Yeah, kind of.
yeah.
And then the last thing that I've been playing is Red Dead Redemption 2. I know it came out like 45 years ago, but it dropped to $30 American during the winter sale, and I'm like, I'll pick it up now.
Hey,
I'm not paying full price for a game that old. Sorry.
That is equivalent to it coming out in the year 2023. If it gets into your price range finally in the year 2023,
it's
that's
new.
when the game dropped.
Exactly.
Literally, price.
And Red Dead Online, we've referred to it as both Grand Theft Horse and Grand Theft Equine.
I like that. That's fancy.
Yeah, it's fancy speak. And you can change like how Arthur or your other character looks online. You're not playing the main character. In the storyline, you're playing Arthur. My online character's name is Bill Wilkins. If you know, you know. If you don't, well, I'm sorry. Maybe you should listen to what I listen to. But you go out and you can change your clothes, which really have no bearing on anything except recognizability.
Oh.
So if you're doing a crime and you want to put a mask on, you do your crime, you get away from the crime zone, you take your mask off. Will they recognize you? Maybe. But if you change your clothes completely, probably not.
That's cool.
So it helps in that aspect, but it doesn't help in like an armor aspect. And it also helps with temperature because, when it's hot, you don't want to wear a coat.
Right.
When it's cold, you want to wear a coat. If you don't, you die quick. Ask me how I know. I done it. And you can steal horses and wagons and sell them because you're a bad boy if you choose an online, which you want to choose because you want to make monies.
Which is a black hat, right? In Westerns?
Sure.
The bad boys?
Yeah,
The bad guy?
exactly. But I steal hats, and I wear hats of all colors.
Or
so.
the red bandana, depending on which
What you're watching.
which one.
Yeah.
It's one that I want to get as well, but I think even 30 is still, and I know, I mean, you're gonna get your money's
it's well
worth out of
worth
that game.
the $30.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And people that, because I know the Wolf, like that's one of his favorite games of all time, and I'm pretty sure he bought it as soon as it came out, and he's got thousands of dollars probably worth out of enjoyment out of that game.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's one of those that you can play it for a long time before you finish the story.
Well, it's a very open world, and there's all these little side missions.
Yeah.
And with the $30 American, I got the Ultimate Edition. I think the standard was like 20.
Gotcha.
But you have to get the Ultimate to get Red Dead Online, and it gives you a couple of better weapons.
Cool.
And you get like a free outfit that is for winter. Now, I don't know if the season changes in online with the season that it is currently. Don't come at me and ask me that because I'm not going to be able to tell you. All I know is it's snowy and cold on online, and it took a very long time for me to realize just because my outfit had a jacket did not mean I was wearing a coat.
I'm sure it's refreshing, too, to play a game like that that's a Western theme because
so
we get
cool, yeah.
sci-fi and fantasy constantly in games. But when it comes to Western, like you don't get that all the time.
Exactly.
So I think that's another reason why it's so popular is because not only is it it's a more niche genre, but it's good. Like they actually put time into the story and the character building and the customization is so cool. But
Oh, yeah, and you can rob trains and all kinds of stuff.
You
I find myself talking like a cowboy while I'm playing with my buddy Mac.
that means they nailed it.
Yeah,
That means they nailed it.
great.
Man, you're making me want to spend $30 on that game.
Spend $30 American.
Because the winter sale's on until what, January 4th or something?
I don't know. Don't ask me that.
Yeah, if you got a PC, look at the Steam sale, the
Do
winter
it.
sale. It's a good one. Do you guys, are you about to? Okay, I thought you were gonna.
No,
I
I
was
was
gonna
vo-
shart at me.
No, I was volunteering for the next segment of television shows.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
I don't
take
care,
it.
man.
That was me volunteering without removing my hands from
Please.
my pockets because they're warm.
Please,
So I've got 3, but I'm going to do 2 honorable mentions and then my main.
got it.
Honorable mention number 1, Freerin, Freinren, Freerin. After Journey's End, it was an anime that I watched that did a little bit of a different take than your typical like gotta build up to beat the big baddie kind of animes.
Okay.
This was following the events of the defeat of the big baddie and how the party of heroes had to deal with life afterwards. And
That's interesting.
And it showed the elf mage, Freerin, who's the main character, having to deal with the loss of her party as time progresses because she had a dwarf in her party. She had 2 humans in her party. The first human to die was the hero, and the hero just I was actually kind of in love with her, but she never saw it. And he wanted to spend this romantic evening with her watching this comet. And he told her, like, meet me here. We'll watch the comet and da-da-da. And she missed it. Because time's irrelevant to her, all this stuff, all these connections. We've only been together for just 10 years. It's not like that big of a deal. Even though for a human, having 10 years with a companion is a long-ass time. To an elf that's thousands of years old,
Right.
it meant nothing.
It's a weekend.
But she's having to
weekend spending the night.
she's having to learn how to deal with all this because she's realizing mortality. Even though she's immortal, she's realizing mortality. And it goes through all this different stuff, whether it actually talks about demons in this show in a way that demons were never really talked about before. Demons are actually monsters. The first monsters that were classified as demons were living in the darkness of caves, mimicking the voices of humans, just crying for help in order for them to come into the darkness and then be gotten.
Yeah, it's one of the scarier things about stuff.
Yeah. So like you hear this voice, and it showed this like this voice in the dark. Help me! No, gosh! Oh God! Please help me! And then they go to help, and so that's what it tied into what you were talking about earlier.
Yeah,
I don't like
those
that
are
at all.
spooky things.
But man, it got into some crazy stuff, and we never knew how old she was. We knew she was hundreds of years old. The very end of the show, it kind of revealed because she was in this battle with one of the main demons of the Demon King's army that was a remnant left over, and she had to fight with a scale. The scale was a power the demon was using. It was if somebody was weaker than her power, then she could take control of them, make them do whatever. Well, she revealed, like, even though you've had hundreds of years years of this and you're the strongest that you've seen, I keep my magic suppressed, and I'm 2,000 years old of suppressing
Spoilers.
my magic.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to watch it. This is anime.
Yeah, that's true.
And she unleashes her power, and you actually see the level of her power, and it's as big as the battlefield is, and it's insane. But anyway, great show. Second honorable mention, Outlander, season 7. This one's for you, Heather. And Outlander is an amazing time travel show that's just a bunch of mushy, goopy stuff for the ladies or the guys if you like watching that. It's a really good story, though. I really enjoy it. It's one of the many shows that I get to enjoy with my wife. This last season was really good because they're getting into the Revolutionary War. They're getting into the way that the Freemasons and stuff kind of work. And Jamie's a Freemason in the show.
Oh, I thought this show was like 16th century.
No, it's based in technically 16th century is the 1700s.
No,
That's 1500s.
Is that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it goes backwards.
Yeah.
So it's the 18th century is where it all takes place, 1700s.
Oh, okay.
So
I've never seen it.
So the actual beginning of the show takes place in the 1740s in Scotland. So the 1740s, and then,
okay, so it moves through time like a lot.
yes.
Oh, okay. That's kind of neat.
And it's all linear. It's all linear the way that it's moving. If you're moving 30 years in the future back in the Scottish time, you're also moving 30 years in the future in the modern time as well that they depict. So, but they're showing all this different stuff, and they're including the Freemason history and things along with it, and the development of the Scottish Rite to Freemasonry that apparently Jamie had a part. He's one of the main characters of the show, had a part in developing. So if you like historical stuff, you like fantasy and time travel, the show does a really good job of doing a lot of nerdy tidbits because now you're getting into wars and American war. I'm a white man in my mid-30s. We're just really into American wars. It's true. There's a certain point. It's like slow pitch softball and American wars. By the time you get into your mid-30s, you're really into both of them. And then my number one show, I actually just finished it. Scott Pilgrim.
Oh, the TV show that just came out.
The animated Scott Pilgrim show that brings back every person from Scott Pilgrim versus the World to reprise the roles and to be the voice actors for it. Even Chris Evans is back in it. All of the big names, every one of them. And all these people that have gone and done so many things since Scott Pilgrim versus the World, but they're all coming back as, because they loved working on it. They loved because it was different. Scott Pilgrim,
so different.
But the Scott Pilgrim television show is an Elseworlds from the movie. It's taking a left where the movie took a right.
Okay.
So it's showing you a different story about how things would have played out if they would have been differently.
That's fun.
And if they would have been done just a little bit differently than the movie. Because the movie wasn't as much of an adaptation directly from the manga as it was a movie taken from the manga for sourcing purposes.
Inspired by.
It was inspired.
Gotcha.
It was inspired by. Whereas the show's a little bit more to the manga.
Oh, cool.
And y'all, I forgot just how much I liked the 16-bit music and stuff that went along with everything.
Good.
And I was telling my wife too. I was like, God, I love this stuff so much. I said, I remember whenever the video game came out for it after the movie, and I played the video game like crazy, and then I went and saw the band that did I was like, the band's name's hard to even spell, but it's pronounced Onomonoguchi. And then we started watching the show, and all of the original soundtrack for the show was written by Onomonoguchi.
Yes.
I was like, I saw those guys play live.
That's awesome. I wish I would have been in that show. That's cool.
I also, it was them and a band called P-Lander Z. They all dressed in like Super Sentai costumes, and they had giant bass guitar and drum monsters and stuff that would infiltrate the crowd and come out and mosh with you and everything. And they were
Good show.
Yeah, they were Asian, and they didn't speak good English.
They didn't need to.
It was funny though, because their song was called "So Many Mike." That was their big hit. And it was basically about how all Americans are named Mike, and why do you want to be so French and confusing? It's like, don't confuse me. So many Mike, so many Mike. That's awesome. And then they change it to the last verse is so many Joe. So many Joe. But anyway, Scott Pilgrim on Netflix. Watch it and then watch the movie, because I got to enjoy both the television show and the movie with my wife back to back, and she loved it, and I never thought she would.
Yeah.
So that I think that those things were incredible. So you boys can proceed with yours.
With shows, I have quite a few honorable mentions, but I'm going to break it down to simply one. The Fall of the House of Usher is my honorable mention from this year. It's the same person who wrote and directed the Midnight Mass show.
Yeah.
which is incredible. And also,
The music video for My Confessions.
I didn't know that.
Oh, sorry, that's real
I don't
Usher.
think that. I think that's the other Usher.
That's the other Usher.
Yeah,
Never
when the
mind.
Wolf had watched this show, The Fall of the House of Usher, he's like, I give it 0 stars out of 10. Usher never showed up. Like there was no Usher music, nothing. But the show is on Netflix. It is about a hyper rich family that is in the pharmaceutical business and does a lot of shady stuff and gets away with everything. And it turns out there's a twist of
Is it a
it's
Shyamalanian?
not Shyamalanian. No, it's what's the word for it? It's like not
Charlemagne?
ethereal. What's when something I can't think of it. There's not a magical twist, but there's my brain doesn't work.
What, ethereal?
This morning? Yeah.
Ephemeral.
Sure. What's more like gods and demons and things like that?
Supernatural.
Thank you. Supernatural. My brain isn't alive today. Mashed potatoes in there. Supernatural. There's a supernatural element to it that really brings it all together. It's super cool. But the family, it shows you right off the bat, it's not a spoiler. Like all the kids in the family die horrendously. And like each episode is showing you how they come about their demise. And it's just written so well. There's some really good jump scares in there. And it takes a lot for me to enjoy a spooky, but it's a suspense with some spooky thrown in there. But man, is it written well. There's so many good monologues in the show. It's so well written. There's a monologue about making lemonade when life gives you lemons, and the main character in it goes on about that's not what you do at all, and he goes through this whole spiel of what he would do if life gave you lemons because he knows how to make money off of anything.
Squirt them in the eyes of your enemies.
Bingo. That's really all you have to do right there because
Yeah.
you have no enemies left. And you
Yeah,
can
then
do
their
whatever you
eyes
want.
hurt.
Suck on the lemon to keep yourself from being nauseous.
Can you do that? Is that a thing?
Yep.
Really?
It might prevent
yeah.
scurvy too, because vitamin C.
It's true. As we're sailing the open seas, which you can do to watch and play most of the things that we mentioned. You
Absolutely.
can definitely, if you don't want to pay the money for it, I'm not telling you to do this, but go pirate it. There's some websites that'll show you how to do that safely.
A pirate?
Please don't.
My eyebrows. My eyebrows.
Oh, no.
Eyebrows are raised.
He faded into the distance on me. But
Arrgh, mateys.
I almost said
I hate
the
it.
GNC House of Usher. The Fall of the House of Usher, watch it if you like some suspense and a little bit of horror thrown in there.
That's
But
kind of funny that the GNC pirate is also ruled by a pharmaceutical company.
It's true. Oh, they do go together, don't they?
Yeah,
Big
GNC is owned by a Chinese pharmaceutical company.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
This podcast is brought to you by Big Pharma. Put us in your butt.
Bring down the little man with us. But my favorite, my great flavored goodie when it comes to shows that came out this year that it's hard to even remember that it came out this year was The Last of Us. Because no matter what,
Oh, that was the beginning of this year.
right?
I
yeah,
forgot.
I'm pretty sure it was right around the first quarter of the year. But The Last of Us made any other show I was watching just not as good anymore because the quality of that show is just so good, and it's a video game adaptation. Like how that doesn't happen to where they make something that quality, but it's just the acting in it and the direction that it takes is phenomenal. And it's not just because I haven't played the game that I think it's incredible, even those such as The Wolf, that it's one of his favorite games ever, The Last of Us. He is so impressed by that show also. So even those that are obsessed with the game can enjoy and love the show even with its differences compared to the game itself. So, and I think Neil Drunkman or whatever his name is. Drunkman.
Yeah.
DeGrasse Tyson?
That one. The one that made the video game is also just heavily involved in the show. And so that's all it takes a lot of times is to just have the person that made the original content also make the adaptation of it. So The Last of Us, if you haven't seen it, it's on HBO, so a little bit harder to find. But if you want to throw up your flag and hop on your ship with your crewmates, you can find it pretty easily online. But it's just a fresh take on zombie stuff. And that's hard to do, is to make a good zombie thing that others haven't done. And I think they do a good enough job of that. So that's my great flavored goodie of shows.
Well, I haven't really watched any shows because I don't really watch a lot of TV anymore due to the nature of how I do things. I've read books, so I'm just going to name off some books.
Yeah.
Just because I'm probably the only one with some.
It's a show in your head.
It's a show in my head. I've been getting into the Lightbringer series by Brent Weeks. Been super dope. Been loving on that. We talked about it during the Magic System thing. It's all based around light and different colors of light. It's really cool. You should check it out. The other one that I've been getting into was actually suggested to me by DJ Seven Stronghands, the Dresden Chronicles. My brain's not working good this morning.
Mine either. The mashed potatoes up there.
I want to say so
buttery.
Much and things like that. That it's
great.
just I'm trying real hard.
Yeah.
So y'all are just gonna have to forgive me. But the Dresden series, it's really cool. Harry Dresden, he's this guy. He's a wizard, and he runs a detective agency in Chicago. It's low fantasy, so it's modern day. There's cops and guns and mafia people and stuff, and he's out there as an open wizard. You need a wizard to help you figure something out. Like come find me. And some of the little side characters around that is great. Like his little memory skull, Bill, is hilarious. I think it was Bill. I can't think what his name was, but I'm pretty sure it was Bill. He helps him remember like different things, like components for potions he's making, and he's always like, "You should probably make a love potion." He's like, "I don't want to make a love potion. I want to make this other potion." He goes, "Well, you've not been getting any loving, so I think you kind of need one." He's like, "I don't want to." He's like, "You want to.
You want
trust
to.
me."
Trust your bill.
Exactly. It's really good. You should check it out. It brings a lot of like high fantasy elements to it. Like you meet different characters. Like some of them are like paladins. There's vampires. There's urban myths and legends and everything brought into the series. It's a really great time, and it's an easy read. It's not super convoluted. And it's just real chill, and it's a lot of fun.
It's on my actual list of things that I want to read. Or have you done the audiobook or
I've been
it?
actually like OG reading.
reading
I can't say OG because I've been doing it on my e-reader.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been reading it with my eyes and not my ears.
Cool. Very cool. Yeah, that's definitely on my list.
I don't read.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
You would if you could, maybe.
He's not allowed.
No, you're right.
That's why he can't.
Do you guys want a little surprise from our grape that is not here with us today?
Yeah.
Because
I would love to hear from Otto.
Yes, Otto sent me his grape flavored goodies of the year in an audio message.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I know. So we get to let's listen to what Otto has to say, and then we can respond accordingly. I haven't listened to this yet.
Hey, Grape. Since I'm not going to be able to be in the cast this week, Dane reached out to me, being an awesome friend, and had me record this little voice memo for y'all and, give y'all a little bit of my 2 cents, maybe help y'all talk about some stuff. So, first one thing I loved this year was a new animated series on HBO Max called My Adventures with Superman. It's basically like a Superman cartoon and anime put together, and it's a super refreshing take on the characters. The characters, the stories, just everything, the set pieces, it's fantastic. I love what they've done with Lois, Jimmy, Soups, like Clark, everything. And I know it's getting a season 2 at some point, and I can't wait because it is just, I want more of it. It's so good. Another animated thing coming up, took me a while to finally watch this one, but Across the Spider-Verse, finally watched the new one, and the first one was a 10 out of 10 for me. It was one of the few, like, perfect movies that I could ever think of. And this one, while not 100% up to that, it was like a solid 9.5 out of 10. And I loved it. I love Spider-Man. It has some fantastic love for the character even, because you get a lot of Spider people that don't normally get their shot on the big screen. They're kind of one-offs or sides, or, they may have only been in the background of another comic, but they're in the big screen now. And you can just really tell that the people that made it really do love the character and are putting in that extra effort. The animation is gorgeous. Each spider person is animated in their own style, which I think is really cool, and it's just kind of fun to see it all blend together. And I don't even want to think about how hard the animators had to work for it, but I can't wait for the sequel. Next thing is a movie, another movie. This one's live action. The D&D movie. fantastic adaptation. I was so worried because a lot of times when they do these kind of adaptation films, you know, we're into video game movies and we've seen plenty of, oh God, how's that even considered part of the game? But with this one, it just blends perfectly. You can tell that the cast and the crew and everyone has experience with D&D and really loves it, and you could almost watch the game play out. And even if you're not a fan of D&D, it's still a fun movie to watch because the cast is perfect. I mean, I couldn't think of any other better casting for this. Every character just works. They all are just having so much fun with it, and it's so fun to see them play off each other. And the last really recommendation I have is this one's going to be very short and sweet because it's Everything Everywhere All at Once. Mm-hmm. And this movie is fantastic. I am a fan of a little bit more like high sci-fi, a little artsy kind of philosophical, like the more like chewy stuff, you know, stuff you want to sit down with. And this is definitely one of those movies. The only thing I can recommend of it is know as little about the movie as possible before going in. Like the less you know and the more you're finding out, the better. And it is just so good. I always recommend it. I just also want to spend a little time and say thank y'all. I know this is first year on the pod. It's crazy to think that at one point I was a fan and now I'm getting to be on the podcast. And I just want to give a shout out to everybody, all of our Patreons, just everyone that tunes in and listens every week. It means so much whenever I talk to friends or I meet random people and they're like, oh my gosh, I listen to your podcast and it's great. It really brightens me up. And thank y'all. And thank all the listeners, and I hope to see y'all in 2024. But goodbye.
Perfect.
Nice.
Man, he was worried about like quality, if he was going to get good quality. That sounded so good.
Yeah.
And I just realized that he and I have the exact same taste in film because everything he said is on my list of movies that I wanted to talk about, except I had Barbie as a mention and the Ninja Turtles animated movie, Mutant Mayhem. Like, thank you.
Perfect.
Those are the only differences that I had with my movie selection. Because Across the Spider-Verse, exact same as him. I enjoyed the first one.
Do not wave that at
wafting.
me. I'm going to have to be like inches away from that later.
This is the last episode of the season, man. We got to make sure we get them nerd stuff and farts.
And farts. That's a good point.
Yeah, but don't wave your stink towards me.
I would also give Across the Spider-Verse that 9.5 to 9.8 out of 10 compared to the perfect 10 that the first one got. And the Adventures of Superman, also some of the best Superman content that's come out in forever. Because he's right, like the way they have written Lois and Jimmy and everyone, like is just they care about Superman, they really do. And the D&D movie was a fun movie for people that don't know the first thing about D&D. It was just a fun fantasy movie as well. And I
just seeing a live action owlbear.
Yeah, it's so cool. Loved it.
Like a live action owlbear is just all we need.
Have you seen it yet, Tony?
I've not.
No? Okay. Once you do, let us know because I want to know what you think about it.
Or if you ever want to come over here and watch it, we've got it on streaming services.
Yeah, that's true. Because you know more of the deep lores when it comes to the D&D worlds than I do. So I want to know if someone with your knowledge of that world likes it as much as like me, who I love D&D, but I haven't gotten into the lores and stuff like that.
I'm more of a strict D&D player as opposed to somebody like Otto who's more rule of cool. Which I do like rule of cool. Don't get me wrong, but there's some things I am a little strict about.
Yeah, he and I are in the same camp with the D&D world, so it'd be interesting to know what you think about it. But Otto, I will watch it
and report back.
Excellent. Yeah, I could not have asked for a better call-in with that situation. And he took words out of my mouth for the movie I wanted to pick too that came out this past year. With all of this, I had to look and see what actually came out in this past year because like you, Tiny, I'm not always up to date, and there are movies, if I don't see it in theater, who knows when or if I'm going to even watch it.
Dude, I struggle just trying to remember shows or movies at all that I even watched, and I'm like, did I just exist and not consume anything other than books this year?
Yeah.
I did watch a movie. I even went to the movie house.
Go on.
Or whatever it's called because, I don't go there often because that's for rich people.
Right.
I think it's called Movie House or Film Hutch.
Filmville?
Filmville.
Yeah.
Filmville. I watched The Blind. I mean, I know that's not like an everybody kind of thing, but it was a very good movie. Had a lot of feeling and a lot of heart behind it.
What is that?
It is based on Phil Robertson and his life, and you know the struggles he went through being an alcoholic and how he turned his life around for the Lord.
Oh, okay.
And like I said, I know it's not an everybody kind of movie, but I enjoyed it. It was great. It got me in the feels. I cried a little.
Wait,
I wonder-
Phil, wait,
It was a very good movie.
Phil from Duck Dynasty?
Yeah.
Oh,
Tab likes that kind of content, so she may have watched it as well. So
Yeah, it was a great movie.
cool. And that was in theater.
Yeah, I mean, it was.
Okay.
It was one of those things like I knew he was a shitbag when he was a younger man and an early 30s man.
Yeah.
Just to see the level of shitbaggery that he was to the person he is now, it was. It's like night and day, and that's not even as good of a comparison as what it actually was. But it was kind of eye opening and kind of makes you appreciate how they treat each other now. And it was really good.
Was it a dramatization or was it a documentary?
It was a dramatization.
Okay, cool.
I mean, it was like I don't think that they stretched the truth at all.
Yeah.
But they just showed you it all like with other actors, and then at the end he gave a little preaching, which I also thoroughly enjoyed.
Gotcha.
You know, it was altogether a really good time for me.
Well, it's nice that something like that is like a success story for that person, because a lot of times when we get these kind of stories about the shitbags, it ends up real bad, and it's just like, here's all the horrible things that the shitbag did.
here's where I went wrong.
The end.
It wasn't sugar coated at all.
Yeah.
Like he did some really terrible things, and he's like, "This is who I was, and this is the person I am now."
Well, he
and
probably-
it was refreshing.
He probably didn't want to pull any punches because he wanted to show like, hey, if you're a shitbag too, like you don't have to always be that. Like it doesn't matter how awful you are. Like you can always come around.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
he became a very successful, nice Christian man at the end of the day. So
Made all them duck calls.
Cool. Yeah.
And famous, yeah.
Yeah, it even showed how he made the first one, kind of how he got inspired to it. And so it was cool.
He got so good at making duck calls that his brother got to be famous for having a sweet tea glass.
Pretty much, and a jug.
Yeah. The only,
And Sai is in there, and I will say, not all the acting was great. Okay. Mainly from the guy playing Sai, because nobody can truly play Sai. Like if you've seen Duck Dynasty, you know what I'm talking about. That fella did as good as he possibly could.
There is one person on this planet that could have possibly done a good job as Uncle Si, and they didn't cast him, otherwise I would have known about it, and that would have been Gary Busey.
oh dang!
I wouldn't go that
Like,
far.
didn't even consider it, did
just think about the way that he goes off on these little like tangents of trying to teach people stuff, but in his own Psy way. That is Gary Busey to a T. No. What you boys are having a trouble with right now is you're experiencing a lot of fear. You're experiencing fear right now, and fear, false entities appearing real. That's what you're experiencing right now. That's Psy and Gary Busey.
I mean, I'm not going to say that you're completely wrong, but I can't see Gary Busey successfully pulling off the majestic speech patterns of the Southern accent.
I think he could.
What you do with fear is you got to just kiss it on the lips.
Kiss him on the lips.
What movie did you have? A movie from this year that you
Rebel Moon.
that came out this week?
Yes.
Nice.
Rebel Moon, and I had to watch it. I mean, it was supposed to be a Star Wars. Actually,
Right.
He originally wrote it as a Star Wars, but
it was going to be
it
Star
was
Wars
going to
characters.
be a
It's going
Star
to be
Wars.
a Star Wars.
It was going to be a Star Wars, but that fell through. So he made his own Star Wars like universe, where instead of the Empire or the what are they called, the new Empire. I always
First
forget.
Order?
The First Order. So instead of like an Empire or First Order, they've got this place called Mother World, and Mother World is like this, empire that is dark and keeping everybody, downtrodden and beaten into submission and all this other stuff. And you've got these small little bits of people that are, say like them. The reason that they are doing what they are doing is because the Mother World showed up to their small moon to try to pillage its resources. And they said, basically, this is going to kill everybody here. You're taking all of our food, all of our means to make any kind of money. We're all going to die. And they're like, well, don't you want to die for the betterment of your Mother World? And then everything just kind of develops from there. But it was like a Star Wars tale. The only thing that I have as a fault to the movie is it's real loose and fast on their traveling to and from places. It's basically like, hey, I've got to go to Walmart. I'm there.
Nice.
Like that's kind of how it felt for the travel purposes. But at the same time, too, that really didn't take away from much of it. It just kind of drew my brain into it to notice, like, well, they're not really experiencing any traveling difficulties because that's just left to, oh, we got there. When the D&D guy, when your DM, he doesn't want to write anything crazy for your story, and you're traveling to a place, and like, oh, you got there, uninhibited.
No, because I have good DMs that I play with.
Well, you see, that's what happens, though. That's what it kind of felt like for a second. It's like, oh, I got to go to this planet. Oh, we're on this planet. Now, here's this taking place. Well, the next thing we got to do is on this planet. Oh, we're on that planet.
I am a fan of like the 90s style montage occasionally. Though.
It was like that without Hall & Oates. So there was no...
I love Hall & Oates.
Yeah, there was no You Make My Dreams Come True playing while they're gathering together their team of folks.
Aww.
But they had a good cast. They had some really good characters in there as far as them being different for how they're what they're bringing to the team and why they're there.
Yeah.
A lot of good characters in that. I mean, especially like there's this swordswoman that has, just like this real Asian-y kind of anime feel to her, with her dark clothing, her flat-brimmed hat she keeps pulled down real low, her twin swords that she pulls out then can become engulfed in energy, like almost like lightsabers.
Weird,
kind
huh?
of thing. Yeah. Rebel Moon is going to have several parts to it. The second part to it is coming out in the earlier part of 2024. So we can look forward to a continuation of that movie.
Will they call it Rebeler Moon?
Well, the first one was called Rebel Moon, Child of Fire. The second one is going to be, I don't know.
Rebeler Moon, Child of Water.
Even more Rebeler Moon was the third one. But yeah, Rebel Moon was a really good, just watch it, be entertained sci-fi movie. It has aspects of Star Wars to it, as it was supposed to be a Star Wars movie. But as far as it being, you have the Force, you've got all this other stuff. There's little bits of stuff like that, like underlying bits of this space magic that's happening.
But they keep it vague instead of saying midichlorian kind of stuff?
There's no midichlorians. So no midichlorians, vague space magic, decent enough plot for you to carry on. It's a good sci-fi. I mean, as far as all the things that I've watched movie-wise, that one was the one that kind of stood out to me because, number one, it's the most recent one that I've watched, and number two, there's not been many good takes on your sci-fis happening this year.
Would you call it a Star Wars killer?
Nah, I wouldn't call it a Star Wars killer. No, if Star Trek can't do it, neither can Rebel Moon.
It can exist adjacently.
Yeah.
And that's also I think you mentioned to me before, you're looking forward to in 2024, right?
I'm
so
looking forward to
blend that.
Yes, I'm looking forward to the continuation of it because of the way that the way that this movie ended. It lets you know there's plenty of story to be told. There's plenty of development that has happened in order to keep this story flowing. It just left you at not really a cliffhanger, but more or less like a junction point.
Yeah,
the movie ended on a junction point.
Cool.
So they can pick right up with it where the next one starts.
My big looking forward to in 2024, since I believe we've covered 2023 pretty well, thanks to Otto's help.
Yeah.
Is as far as games go, honestly, like looking at all the main titles of games that are coming out next year, nothing really stood out to me as I cannot wait for that, just because I'm not a brand new game come out play kind of guy now. But I am looking forward to the direction that the finals that I mentioned earlier and Rocket League are going to go, because there's a lot of complaints going on with Rocket League and how Epic owns it and they're focusing more on Fortnite and blah, blah, blah. That's a looking forward to and also kind of nervous about, because I love that game so much. And with the finals, since it's a brand new game, I'm just excited to see if they take it in an Overwatch direction, which ends up me hating it, or if it's going to continue to be a labor of love and people really enjoy it. With shows, Fallout. I think Fallout is supposed to, the TV show is supposed to come out this next year.
Yeah.
I just
take
made
you
sounds.
take you a second.
And then I was just like, what am I, where, who?
Yeah.
Is it a show based on like the video game Fallout?
Yes, the video game world. I think it's from a character from a vault that's not from the game.
I mean, they're all from different vaults.
Right.
that could be cool if
Yeah.
done well, or it could just be shitballs.
I think it might be good just for the sense of seeing a lot of practical effects in the couple of images that I've seen from it, because they've got a lot of practical effects for the people that have been like with the radiation and stuff of how it's transformed
I'd
them.
be willing
So,
to give that show a shot.
yes, when it comes out, I think it'd be a really fun one. And it's a video game based show, and with the way that The Last of Us has kind of set the bar really high for those now, I think whenever a show about a video game comes out, they kind of have to look at that and go, we're up against this as far as people go in, is this good or not?
Wait, is Pedro Pascal going to be in it escorting a small child somewhere?
If he is, it's going to be a success.
Because that's television show success. I mean,
Yes.
Mandalorian,
Yep.
Last of Us, both successful television shows with the same premise.
Book that man and Book a Child.
Well, they did try it in Kenobi, and it did not go well for them.
Well, it wasn't Pedro Pascal doing it.
It wasn't Pascal.
I mean, that's true.
It was.
If he
It
would've
was.
been
It was.
It was a white guy.
Would have worked.
It was Ewan McGregor chasing after a small Leia.
Yes.
Leia.
Leah? Yeah.
Your brain's not working
That's
either.
not either.
I'm
We
scared.
better wrap it up soon. Movies. We've got Deadpool 3 coming.
That's going to flip everything.
Yeah,
on
that's
its
It's
head.
going to be
cool.
amazing.
Isn't Wolverine supposed to
Yes.
be in that? Okay.
There are
Yes.
Because I
so-
keep seeing pictures of the blue and yellow suit, and it looks so,
So
good.
good.
Blue
Like,
and
I'm here for
Blue
it.
and yellow suit Wolverine confirmed in it. So is Jean Grey and Cyclops from the original X-Men.
See.
So what they're going to be doing is there's going to be multiple timelines happening. There's going to be a way to tie it all together with a bow and then come into main continuity, because that's what Deadpool 3 is doing for Deadpool, bringing Deadpool into continuity of the main MCU.
And they can have as much chaos as they want leading into that, because it's
I mean,
Deadpool.
it's Deadpool.
It's part of it.
I mean, honestly, I don't care if he gets in the main MCU and
either.
continuity or any of that. I couldn't give a blue French fry. I just love me some Deadpool movies.
Yeah.
They're just always good
Well,
and funny and great.
The grace of this movie coming out this year, I don't even think the saving grace. I think just one of the graces of this movie is the fact that there are not superhero movies coming out this year, aside from maybe two, one of them being
Thank
Deadpool.
God.
Well, the other one that I have on here that I'm looking forward to is the Joker Folie à Deux
Yep.
with Harley Quinn. in
Well,
it.
I'm talking Marvel, at least.
Yeah.
Because Marvel's been doing this thing here recently to where they're just opening up the pill jar and pouring it down our throats and saying, be satiated and feel good. And
Thanks,
we're
Big
getting,
Pharma.
And we're getting all sick from it. I mean, Marvel.
don't know why.
I mean,
I'm just-
Marvel is the big pharma of superhero movies. I mean, they're just shoveling in everything you don't
Take
need.
your vitamins.
Take your vitamins, and if you haven't had your probiotics, here's the Marvels. You know, it was shit. That was the joke.
That's
funny. But yeah, so I think that Deadpool 3 is something to look forward to. Not only that, but this is going to be our last time seeing Hugh Jackman as Wolverine.
So they say.
They've said it before. This is it.
Yeah. This is really at this time.
This is really it.
The other one that I'm really excited for is Dune Part 2. I love Dune. And I'm excited.
Oh,
to see
they're finally doing
It's
it.
supposed to
Cool.
be. Supposed to be
the
coming out
first
this year, yeah.
part was really good.
So
Like I
good.
loved it.
Me too. Those are the things I'm looking forward to for next year.
Yeah.
And you, Tiny, you got anything on your list, or is it just
No.
kind of come as it comes?
I just take a day
We'll
at
see
a
it.
time, man. 'cause
Beautiful.
That's just how I live
I love
my
it.
stuff.
I prefer that. I've actually felt that same way until I started to look at lists of things coming out next year for me to actually go, oh, yeah, that is coming, because I totally forget. Because we don't watch cable, we don't see commercials.
Right.
And like, I just kind of
I don't
do
even
my
have
own thing.
streaming
I
stuff,
think-
so
I
I
think-
just like being surprised by people going, "Hey, did you watch this thing? Oh, I didn't know it was gonna be a thing. That's cool." Like the Fallout thing.
Yeah.
So-
or like when Otto mentioned Everything Everywhere All at Once, I came into that movie, no idea what it was about, and I'm so happy that I
Well,
did that because
I can
it was
even go one
phenomenal.
farther. I not only don't know what it's about, I don't even know who's in it.
Perfect.
Well, your clothes never wear as well the next day, and your hair never falls twice the same way.
You never seem
To run
so
out
many
of-
things to say.
I love how that song is in the movie, in multiple forms too.
Great spoilers.
No, you'll,
Oh, yeah.
no,
That's the whole movie.
No, it's something you got to pay attention to because it's in the background. I
probably never
have
watch
something
it.
I'm looking
When?
forward to
Okay.
this next year, and it's still in the works. It's not something from major media; it's something from us. I've been in talks with multiple folks, and these are people of official status.
Okay.
The first ever disc golf tournament put on by
Oh yeah, I remember talking.
put on by moi And anybody that wants to help out with it, I will need plenty of volunteer work to have to make this happen. But as far as it's going right now in talks, the place is interested. It is a golf course that we're gonna turn into a temporary disc golf course.
Ooh, so you're going to take a golf course and make it a disc golf course.
Yes. And the person who runs the establishment is very excited to get into the workings of this because the place that it's at is at a golf course that's, in a really nice neighborhood. But here recently, the golf course hasn't been doing the best.
Oh.
And they're looking for ways to try to bring more interest to the golf course. That also includes potentially setting up a well-maintained pay-to-play course there that you always need to have, like because there's some courses you go to, like we've got a couple of nice courses in the area we don't got to worry about. We've also had courses in the past to where it is not maintained whatsoever. You can tell it's gone years without maintenance. This one either could be a pay-to-play course that could be on grounds to where they have constant groundskeeping and upkeep and everything along those lines. So,
question:
That'd be so exciting.
would they have disc golf carts?
they would actually.
Yeah, you could rent disc golf carts on those
hell
courses.
yeah.
Yes. So
Can I just drive the cart?
Sure.
I mean, I'd play
basically
too,
being our
but-
caddy.
Yeah, I mean, I could
But
just drive the cart. That'd be fun.
With disc golf courses, yeah, I said that right. They actually prefer probably for you to have a cart because it speeds up the play as well. Because, I mean, people are still golfing on the course while the disc golfers are playing. Not during a tournament, of course. But if it were this pay-to-play course, then you're going to be sharing that space. And you're kind of, as disc golfers, it's kind of seen as encroaching kind of on the space of the ball golfers or ballfers, as you want.
Yeah, ballfers.
Ballfers. And we're frolfers. They're ballfers.
Yeah.
But that's exciting. I didn't know, because I know this has been like an idea, but I didn't realize how much excitement was coming from the other end of it.
The other end of
I
it,
know I want to help.
The other end of it has had excitement expressed to them, from we have a connecting party involved with us. It's my drummer, and he lives on the golf course,
Right.
and
like on it,
Yeah.
or next to it.
next
like
to well, actually, if you
Like
if
he
you
lives on the green of hole 4.
no, he lives next to it. But if you judge the golf balls that actually come into his driveway, and you have to hide your car, he might as well be on the golf course.
Yeah, I wouldn't enjoy that part.
So, but it's something fun to look forward to. It's something that has now got not only the people that are wanting to plan it excited, but the people that run the facility excited for it. And they approached me at a show I was playing
Awesome.
to say, "Hey, you need to come. We need to sit down. We need to talk about this. This is a great idea."
Can we go there, you think,
That's
soon
awesome.
and walk the course
That's
and
the
kind of
idea.
plan out like what
Yes.
we think and bring a camera and kind of
100%.
Yeah.
He wants us to do that fairly soon.
I want to help.
Because it's too late in the game to plan something for early in the year.
Oh, yeah.
That's not going to be able to happen. But for us to shoot for an end of the year kind of deal,
Fall.
like maybe late October, early November,
Yeah.
that could be something that could be done out there and have all the year to be able to plan it and prep it. Because we want to be able to have good prize packages. We want to be able to have good payouts. We want to be able to have good publication to it. We're already in talks as well with publication, with actual people that are videographers to come out and film the tournament being played, so people playing the tournament can have added value to what they're paying to play the tournament, so they can actually see how they played on video.
Well, that's
Sweet.
cool. I mean, all you really have to do is put an ad in the newspaper, because everybody reads
that's-
that
read the
still.
newspaper.
That's it. Yeah, that's all you got to do for it.
Did you guys want to? Oh, Tiny, did you want to quickly talk about because you texted me about some kind of tech that you enjoyed, so, like some tech from this past year?
I picked up an e-reader, and I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
I mean, I love like OG analog books, and because you get the smell, and it's you get all the senses tickled when you do that. But I also like very bright light, like blindingly bright when I'm reading, because it's just how I've always been. And the great thing about an e-reader is it takes up just as much space as the tablet itself. Like, it's small, it's contained, but it can house thousands of books. I no longer have to buy bookshelves repeatedly because they keep sagging and breaking because of my massive collection of books. They're just all there in digital form, and at any point I can pull up any of the thousands of books that I have on there. They are amazing, but you have to make sure, because a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, well, you can just put them on your tablet." No, I mean, you can, but that sucks. your eyes hurt. It makes you just want to delete your own save after a while. But the e-ink tablet readers, it's so good because it's almost like reading an actual book, but you can have the backlight.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make your eyes want to stab themselves with pocket knives.
Yeah, something designed specifically for books and it being an e-reader like that is a lot better.
It is
than
awesome.
Something that can do it as opposed to something built for it.
Exactly. And part of the other problem with trying to read on a tablet, other than, your eyes wanting to terminate their own existence, is you can constantly be distracted by other things on your tablet, Facebook, whatever. Mine is just straight up has my library of books. That's it. I mean, it has like an ad. If I keep the internet on, it'll have like an ad on my lock screen because that's life. But you can pay a little extra more of your pocket dollars and get ones without that.
Gotcha.
I personally picked up a Nook. The Kindle Paperwhite is another great option.
Yeah, that's one I've considered.
I
got
almost got that one.
That's how my mom reads her books. She'll read them on her white, whatever it is.
Well, and I like physical books just as like trophies of I read that, I loved it, and there is the proof.
Absolutely.
But I mean, even if I get an e-reader, read the book, if I didn't love it, but I liked it, then I don't have to take up the physical space on my bookshelf for it. But if I loved it, it's like, okay, now I'll purchase it and try to find a way, like something I want to try to work on with myself is finding ways to purchase things that benefit the creator more, because it's like I feel like it's hard to do that anymore.
It really is,
because most of these outlets, like with Amazon, if I get an audiobook or a book through Amazon, like Amazon's getting most of that money. It's just I want to find more ways of getting the creators paid. That's why I've been looking more into like Etsy than I have lately, of actually going on Amazon and getting things, because maybe I can find a person that makes this thing.
Well, it's just like
cooler thing sometimes.
It's just like how we stream. We stream on Spotify and all the big ones. But if say you're going to like your small boys, like your Good Pods, and you're listening on Good Pods, we appreciate those listens on Good Pods.
Absolutely.
Just because we're still number one Star Wars on Good Pods.
Yay!
Oh, hell yeah!
I don't know how this has happened, but we're still there.
I don't know either, man.
But if you go to Good Pods, your listening means something more than what it would on Spotify. Oddly enough, just because I'll learn some metrics this year, but from Weird Al. Weird Al made a little thing towards the end of the year saying, "Thanks, Spotify. I appreciate your patronage and everything." He's like, "Spotify notified me that I had over 85 million plays on my songs this year. Thank you guys so much for it. They sent me $12."
Gross.
He said, "I can almost buy a sandwich." Thanks, Spotify.
Wow.
So things are a little bit messed up when it comes down to streams and paid for streams kind of stuff. We don't get paid for streams. We get paid for Patreon, and we thank you for it.
But yeah, on a Patreon you can
absolutely.
listen
Thank
to
you.
the unedited versions of all this, and 90% of the time you get it a day early. There are some times that oops, I got busy, but 90% of the time you get it a day early before everybody else does. But
and you'll get to see us wax that ass, and by that I mean Austin.
literally
Here
Literally.
any second.
Ooh, yeah, you're wanting this episode to drag out so we can not have to do that, but
I gotta poop.
In this situation,
You better clean it good.
when life gives you grapes, I think you need to mash it up, turn it into a wax, have a buddy of yours spread it along that beehole, and then rip it off as fast as possible.
Yeah. I don't.
How are we doing?